Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shills, debt slicers, peasants, vassals, minions, meat sacks. I'm a useful idiot. Welcome. And my apologies again for doing so many videos at one time. I kind of have to do it that way these days because I'm kind of busy, and so I have to do a lot of videos because there's a lot of things that interest me that are going on. So I have to do them in batches. So anyway, this is the last one for today, and we go to Libya. And I get some redemption because it turns out here's another story that came out that reveals a lot of unfortunate details, but the most interesting is the fact that apparently there are U.S., British, and French troops on the ground in Libya as we speak. And I did a video earlier this year talking about the fact that supposedly 1,000 British special forces were sent to protect the oil fields in Libya. And then I took the video down because I didn't see any confirmation of that story, and so it didn't seem to be holding up. But then the story appeared not too long ago with the French special forces being sent there to work with local militias. And now we come to this story where it says, quote, the Pentagon is also seeking to improve coordination between U.S. Special Operations Forces and their French and British counterparts, which have established small cells on the ground working with local militias. So what a surprise. So seems to be confirmation, as this comes from U.S. sources, that the U.S. Special Forces and French Special Forces and British Special Forces are operating in Libya right now. And the previous article had said that there was 1,000 British Special Forces. So if we have 1,000 British Special Forces and an unknown number of U.S. and French, I think the French number was around 700, we're potentially talking about 2,000 or 3,000 ground troops in Libya. But the story gets better because now we have a Western puppet being established there as a new government. So if the opposite governments that have existed in the capital of Tripoli and the eastern part of the country, and then all the country that's basically in chaos, if that wasn't enough, now the West just sent in a new government, and we'll see if the previous so-called coalition continues to operate. But this guy's name is Fayez Sarraj, a little-known Libyan technocrat. And doesn't that sound familiar? Every time we see a puppet put in, they're usually a little-known technocrat appointed by the UN in order to instigate this new peace process. But one of the things that's disturbing about this story is not only that we already have Western troops on the ground and U.S. officials talking about the fact that we have operations going on there, but it won't reach the level of Syria and Iraq, and which is, of course, relative, but the fact that the plans that the Western forces in the United States have in Libya sound like the same idiocy that we've seen operating in these other theaters. The Western plan is to unify the various militias into an opposition group to ISIS and the terrorists. So good luck with that. They have more different militias and groups in Libya than probably they do in Syria and even Iraq. And yet the Western plan is to somehow unify all of them against their nemesis ISIS, the ISIS terrorists. I would ascertain that probably a lot more of those militias and groups in Libya would align themselves with ISIS before they would align into an opposition group. And then there's going to be further U.S. strikes apparently planned. We've had 2 already this past fall and winter, and now there apparently are going to be more. So we'll be looking for more airstrikes in Libya, which is another way of getting deeper involved in this process there. And then, of course, another part of this ludicrous plan is the U.S. officials envision a gradual absorption of militia forces into a new national army. And boy, well, let's see how well that idea works out. And then to put the capper on this story and all of its ironies is there was previous talk about Italy being involved in a new UN intervention or a Western intervention in Libya. And it turns out it's just going to be the U.S., French, and British Special Forces in the meantime, because Italy now says, well, they're not going to really send any troops into Libya until there's already security and the country's been stabilized. So we won't be looking for Italian troops in Libya anytime soon, other than that big talk. So there you have it. This new war is just part of the old war going on in Libya. And just like some of these other wars, it just continues to be a labyrinth. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.